Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. Everyone, this is Catherine Moolenschot that I'm interviewing. I actually came across Catherine on LinkedIn, funnily enough, and I saw a statement she'd written that said, I help CEOs and professionals write epic books. And I just thought that's amazing that she can sum up what she does in that one sentence. I've got so many clients that really struggle with that. And as I got talking to Catherine, I saw that she'd done a couple of TED Talks, and now she's actually working with CEOs to help them write their books, which is amazing. So welcome, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Why don't you start by, telling your story? I guess it goes back to really high school for you, doesn't it?
It's hard to, I'll do my best to summarize. So I actually started my first book when I was 11, but I wrote and edited my first book when I was 13. And from there, I got a lot of really positive feedback from it, which was super lovely and heartwarming. But I then had writer's block for, I think it was about 3.5 or 4 years, because then suddenly it was published just before I turned 14. So then I got feedback. I just turned 14 and I was told by these people, wow, you're such a great writer. And that was such a daunting idea to identify myself as, in that it was lovely, but it meant that anything that I wrote for the next number of years, I would just judge so harshly because it didn't live up to this label I'd apparently been told I was quite good at writing. So it was quite an interesting journey. And what I do now with helping people write their books is I've really been there from a perspective of being blocked and being stuck. And I've written 3 books now. But as you say, when I was in year 12, so it was the end of high school for me, I gave my TEDx talk at Melbourne, and that definitely was the start for a lot of other great opportunities.
That's amazing. So you're a published author at the age of 14. How did that come about? That's incredible.
It was actually prompted by a school project. So I went to, I'm not sure if people who are watching this are familiar with Steiner education, but I went to a Steiner school out in the Yarra Valley in Victoria. And something that we do at my school is what's called a Year 12 project. And to prepare students for this really mammoth, almost rite of passage, incredible project, is in year 8, you do a smaller version of it, and you get to do this project on anything that you want. So it really forces young people to really think about what do they love doing enough in the world that they're going to be intrinsically motivated to carry it through for the whole year. So for me in year 8, my year 8 project, I decided to write a book. So it was really prompted by my school, which I'm very grateful for.
That's amazing. And I feel like it would be incredible if more schools did that, because I guess really that's setting you up after you've finished school and you're not being told what to do, to really tap into what's important to you and what do you love doing enough that you can commit to it as well. So after you did that, what was your journey from that TED Talk? Did you go to university? Did you realise you had this passion and just dove straight in, or how did that look?
It wasn't as straight. It would be nice if it was straightforward, but it wasn't. So I think always from quite a young age, I was always quite clear that I wanted to do meaningful things with my life. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew that I would want to write a number of books in my life. For some reason, I had this idea that I might do some speaking at some point in my life. But I'm literally talking about when I'm 8 years old. Like, I'd be an 8-year-old just sitting there playing as 8-year-olds do. And then I'd just sometimes get these senses or feelings, or you could call it intuition or inspiration, or you can call it whatever you want. But I just got this feeling for what I'd want to do when I was older. And I think when I was 8, I told my dad I'm never working a 9-to-5 job. And I think he must have just laughed. Like, we're driving to school, he's got an 8-year-old in the car. Like, what does she know about jobs? But I could just tell that people were not happy, or a lot of adults around me weren't happy in that. And I was just like, I don't want to spend my working life working for someone else unhappy. I want to work on my own dream and vision and what I want to make, what I want to see happen in the world. So from my TEDx talk, I got the opportunity. So sorry, what I wanted to say there was, in about year 10 and 11, I knew that I didn't want to go to university because that wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. So I think university is fantastic if you know where you want to go and that's the path to get there. But a lot of people go to university when they don't know what they want to do, and they use it as a very expensive way to figure out what they want to do. Which, can definitely be helpful as well, because at the end, sometimes and then you've got a degree, but sometimes you have to go back and study a second thing because now you actually know what you want to do. So I'm a big believer in the school of life as well. So after my TED talk, I then had quite a legitimate thing to kind of justify my decision not to go to university, which was, well, I'll do speaking, because I had different people approach me saying, could you do some speaking engagements? You know, come speak at our school, come speak at this youth camp. And that led me to do speaking. And though I will say that the TED talk was a help in that it sparked me realizing that's something I could be paid for and something I could do. And nothing ever comes easy in life. And I also had to, you know, put in a lot of effort to actually make that happen and make that a reality. And that's when I set up my business Inspire Greatness, which was originally doing speaking.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I really love what you say about university. It's funny you say that, because I actually started off doing finance and economics at university.
Yeah.
I think I was about 8 at the time, and I had seen a documentary on TV about Melbourne University and how it was the top uni in Australia. And I just went, I don't care, I'm doing that, and I'm going to work massive hours in a big bank somewhere and make lots of money. Like, that was my goal as an 8-year-old. And I got there and realized I really didn't like it. Thankfully, I was lucky enough with my commerce degree that I was able to change my major really easily, and I discovered marketing and fell in love. But yeah, it's funny what we get our heads set on, and it's amazing that you, as someone in year 10 or 11, could recognize, look, I don't really know what I want to do, and you were open to different opportunities.
Yeah, I so relate to your story, and I've heard many people share similar things where, exactly like you say, where you have this idea of what you want to do, and then you go and do it, and you're like, this isn't what I thought it would be. I don't think I want to do this anymore. So I totally relate to that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think being able to step back and go, all right, what is plan B? What do I actually like doing is a really big thing. And it sounds like you went through a bit of a process with going, university is not for me. You had people show interest in having me speak for them. How did that feel for you, pursuing those opportunities and even knowing what to charge or how to structure that?
I got mentorship, so informal. I was also young enough at the time where some people who were doing it were willing to just give me some time over coffees and things. So that was me reaching out and asking for that kind of support to figure out prices and charging and how to navigate all of that. It was very, very hard to sell my services as a speaker when people hadn't met me yet, because I was 18, just out of high school, and what could she know? How could she be a good speaker? Like a lot of people, I think, were quite biased towards me because of my age. Mm-hmm. But so the best I always got was always from referrals, was always from someone who knew me and was like, yeah, she is 18, but she's actually quite mature for her age and has done a lot of study into a lot of different topics and can really help kids with emotional intelligence and different things like that. So I also quite quickly moved from doing speaking to running workshops with students, because I could speak 1 to 700 students, and then at the end, 20 or however many came up to me afterwards being like, wow, that was so inspiring. Thank you so much. I loved it. That was awesome. But what about all the other 680 students? Did it help them? Did it touch them? There was no feedback loop. It was just me talking to everyone, and that was it. And I found that not very fulfilling. So I moved into workshops where it's a dialogue, where I'm facilitating, experiences for them, where they can grow through that experience in the workshop, not just hear about something and go, oh, that's kind of cool. Those speaking is totally awesome and valid and can, be very inspiring and moving and helpful too. But I really enjoyed that workshop. There was that dialogue.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it really sounds like you have thought about what's going to be best for your customer. And in this case, your customer, in the example you gave, are school kids. And now you've also, I guess, grown and developed another arm of your business as well, where you work with people to help them write books. And how did that come about? How did you go from one to the other? And I know you've got this experience when you were younger, but you seem to be going down that speaking path. But now there's also this branch with the books. How did that happen?
So it actually happened because a woman approached me and said, Catherine, I know you've written a few books. I'm writing mine and I'm really lost in it. Would you be able to help me out? And I was like, yeah, sure, totally. And I sat down with her and I was like, wow, there's so much about book writing that really just came really naturally to me, that I didn't even realize this was a thing that you can learn and that I could teach, that people don't know. And I didn't realize how much time people waste. There's so much time and headaches in writing a book where people, and it's just a lot of different things. I mean, there's different mindsets you need to be in at different stages of the process. And sometimes even, because I'm both, like for my clients, I'm both a mentor helping them through the process and know those mindsets and have a much better writing plan. Like we unpack their book and develop a writing plan that's way better than chapter outlines. But from there, I'm also like an editor with them from the beginning. So rather than them going down that tangent and, you know, writing 20,000 words on something which is later going to be edited out, I'm there at the beginning of that to be like, actually, that's not quite speaking to our ideal reader here. And that's not really saying what the core message of this book is about. And I can bring them back on course. So it saves a lot of time. Anyway, so I discovered how much I know about all of it, and very kind of gently, like, put out there a bit of, I could help people, you know, write their books if they'd like. And from there, I got my first few clients, and then it started to really take off, and which is awesome. And I've moved into doing this full time now. So I'm full time helping. I think I'm actually need to count. I think I'm helping about 18 or 20 people with their books at this moment in time.
Wow, all at once. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How do you fit everything in? That's a massive workload.
I've always been someone who I love efficiency. I love productivity, and I love getting things done. So I also love people. And when I'm like, it's the best. I love books. I love language. I love stories. I love how they can move us, inspire us, educate us. And then I love people and their stories and hearing and learning from people's experience. And I've found something where I get to spend my day being with people, which I love, talking about books, which I love, hearing their stories, which I love. Like, it's just the best sweet spot ever. So I really enjoy it.
That is so great. And it sounds like that year 8 project where your teachers were trying to get you to tap into your passions, it's really stuck with you. And that you have found a way to monetize it for yourself, because people talk about doing something you're passionate about, but reality is you need to be making money out of it to support yourself and I guess fuel your message and your dream as well. And it sounds like you've I guess organically found your way into this niche, and you're just loving it.
Yeah, that's very true. And I would like to say on that, because I actually think it's really important. In Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, which by the way is just beautiful, she writes about, have you read it?
Yes, I love that
book. Yeah.
Love her.
Isn't it gorgeous? So you'll know the story. She shares about, I believe it's a friend of hers whose passion is ice skating. Mm-hmm. But I think she's in her 40s. And I mean, there's no way she's ever going to make money from ice skating, but she decides that she's going to start again just because she loves it. And I think she trains 2 or 3 mornings a week before work. And it doesn't work towards anything. It doesn't work towards her getting medals or her making a business out of it. She just loves it and does it before her work. And I think that there's a real beauty and sacredness in, sometimes I'm very lucky that this passion I can monetize, and it's really beautiful to be able to do that. Having said that, I'm also still running a business. So there's also about 2 days a week, which is full of paperwork and business managerial tasks, which aren't fun. That's not my passion, but I do that so I can enjoy my passion. And but there's also a beautiful, there's something beautiful in, you know, doing a day job that you kind of like, and you enjoy, you working with good people, doing some cool stuff that pays the bills so that you can in your spare time do your passion as well, if there's no way to monetize it. And I think that we've kind of lost the beauty in that in recent years because there's such a focus on monetizing your passion. So I just want to add that in there.
No, absolutely. Completely agree. And I think there's been this real, I guess, entrepreneurial movement where we're almost told that we need to monetize it. That doesn't need to be the case. And I have found some people have sort of said that they've moved into trying to monetize and create a business out of what they love, and they end up not loving it as a result. Right along with it comes a whole heap of admin and paperwork and all that boring stuff that nobody likes. And so I think that's a really, really good point. You mentioned before when you were talking about working with people on their key messages and writing it in a way that it's speaking to their ideal reader and that kind of thing. And I think that's amazing, because that really ties back to a lot of marketing concepts.
Yeah.
That as well. So you've got this, I guess you're reining in all this creativity and ideas these people have and bringing it back to, okay, what is our message and who are we speaking to here? Do you ever find that's hard when you're working with people to do you sort of have to get them in that frame of mind to be thinking like that?
Well, when I unpack their book with them, we go through a process of a number of different exercises, which are deliberately designed and deliberately ordered and structured the way that they are, which ease them into the discussion of getting a lot of clarity around their ideal reader and their pillar message. And I always recommend clients to then create like an A3 poster that, you know, with as much colours and creativity as they want, which share a number of different things that we do. I won't go into all the details now, but it just basically highlights a number of the different things we do in that unpacking their book session. So what they can do is they can look up at that A3 poster and very quickly get a really strong sense again of who they're writing to, what they're writing about, why they're writing this book, the effect they want this book to have on readers, and all those different things. And that helps them get into that mind space.
That's amazing. What a good tool. And I actually think that anyone with a business who's just starting out and might be struggling with some of their copy for their emails or their Facebook ads or anything like that could use a tool like that to really help them. So yeah, thanks for sharing definitely. That. You also said that you are a bit of a productivity lover. Do you have any tips for us around productivity?
I've tried a lot of different things. So I'm the person who also experiments with the different things. You know, like there was a time in year 12 where I was getting up at 5 every morning and doing that whole 5 a.m. start. I did an interview series and a lot of people I interviewed had early mornings. And so I did love that. Working for myself, I don't love it as much though. And I prefer normal hours because often at night I do get inspiration and I do enjoy working. But I loved that at the time. So but if for anyone who's running a business in a job, I could not recommend anything better than getting up early and starting your day with working on what you want to work on. But I think it's just, I don't know, I've tried so many different things. Like I've done the Pomodoro technique. I've done the way that I organize my tasks and my to-do lists and managing my projects is, you know, I've gone from the paper to all sorts of different types of digital. I currently use AnyDo and I really love AnyDo. It helps me kind of separate, I don't know if you know it, but it's an app and it helps me separate the different tasks. So I've got like, you know, marketing, working on the business, working in the business, sales, clients, like what needs do I need to fulfill there, my grocery list. I've got like all sorts of different things and they're all cornered off, which I like because then I can just go into that and see what task belongs to that area of what I need to work on and of my business. But as productivity goes, I think I'm constantly aware of productivity and efficiency to the point that I recently actually had to take a full day off work, like a full day of just hanging around my bedroom and just not doing anything. I just needed to stay home and relax and kind of get out of that mindset a bit because I'm always thinking about ways I can improve my productivity. So I like working quite a lot and I do work quite a lot. And I work weekends and everything. That's a lot of business owners do. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's many concrete tips there.
No, that's good. And I'm going to provide a link to AnyDo below so people can check it out. And it sort of sounds to me that the way that you're structuring your AnyDo is it's almost like batching. So you've got your client work, then you've got work, and then your grocery list, and everything sort of has its own column. And I dare say you sit down and go, okay, what's on my admin list today? And get a whole heap of admin stuff out of the way rather than flitting from task to task. And I'm actually reading at the moment, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, it's called Deep Work.
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook.
Yeah, I'm a big audible.com fan, so I'm listening to that at the moment and just hearing him talk about, I guess, getting your mind into that space to sit down and do some really productive work. And especially when he's talking about social media and our phones going off and maybe someone rings or we get a text message and immediately that concentration is broken. So having that time to sit down and do that deep work.
Phone on airplane mode.
Yes.
Yeah, you disconnect the internet on your laptop so you don't get the notifications and just, I couldn't agree more.
So how do you handle that with working with, say, 20 clients at once? Do you just sort of sit down and go, okay, so for this 2 hours, I'm doing just this client's work, I'm doing this editing, or how do you stop yourself from flitting from task to task?
So I'm not sure who originally spoke about this, but I think I heard about it through Scott Adams' book, how to fail at almost everything and still win big. But I'm sure I must have heard of this beforehand though, because it's everywhere. But rather than task management, it's about energy management, which I think is very, very true. So sometimes I can be kind of energy levels and be feeling a way where I can just smash through so much work, and other days I'm working all day, but I'm just less productive. And so the way that I look at it is I always have my meetings with clients. I generally have about 2 meetings days, and then the rest are kind of admin and working on things or editing or whatever's going on. And I generally plan it by making sure that I'm having enough introvert and extrovert time, so that I don't, if I were to have 3 full days working from home in a row and then 2 meetings days, I'd be exhausted by the meetings days and get bored being at home the whole time working from my home office. So I switch it around. Yeah, the best way to say it, and look at managing my energy so that it's always up to the task.
That's great. And it sounds like you really structured your weeks around what works best for you and how you work as well. And I think what you said about if you're in a 9 to 5, getting up early and having those few hours in the morning is great.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I used to do that as well, but I'm sort of the same as you, where I don't do that any longer, because often inspiration hits me at 9 o'clock at night and I'm there tapping away at my keyboard, and you just get into that flow. And maybe that's got something to do with your phone's not going off, but no one's trying to reach you and you don't have things to prepare for. So yeah, I think it's really about working out what works for you and not thinking, oh, I've got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's what all successful people do.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think also sometimes you've also, like, I'm also someone who's quite consciously run my business. Like, I notice my boyfriend, and he can survive on not very much sleep and get up the next day and be productive. If I don't get, for me, it's 8 hours sleep. If I don't get 8 hours sleep, I know I'm useless the next day. So if inspiration hits me at 11 p.m., I'll work until 12 and then I'll sleep until 8. I won't get up at 5 because it's just not going to work for me. So I can see the way that he can work and he can push himself to get some things done. And sometimes I wish that I could do the same. And I think, oh, I need to like hustle more or just work harder or something. And then I go, you know what? No, that doesn't work for me. And I need to work in the ways that work well for me. And I wanted to say something else on that, and I've just completely gone blank.
That's all right. I think that's really important, because I'm the same. I need 8 hours sleep, or I'm a crabby person, and I really notice that the quality of my work decreases.
Yeah.
If I have 8 hours sleep, I can achieve so much more. I'm not going to have those days where I feel like I've been at my computer working all day but have achieved nothing. That's the worst feeling in the world for me.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that I need to be clear on what I'm going to do and sit down and you get in and you do it and you get into that flow and that deep work. It's so important.
Yeah, it is so important. It's also something which I think most adults don't get enough sleep, unfortunately, and a lot of children actually as well. So I think it's something that's worth reminding people about.
Oh, absolutely. And not, as you said, not having this mentality of, if you're going to be successful, you've always got to be hustling. It's fine to work big hours, and as you said, all business owners do, but again, going back to that, what is the quality of the work you're producing and how productive are you being with it? It's really important to be conscious of. There's something else I wanted to ask you. Obviously, being so young, and you have not taken the traditional path at all, have you ever had any self-doubt, or how have you sort of overcome that?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. I've had more extended family be like very shocked that I haven't gone to uni and thought it was a very bad idea. And I've had, I lived in Holland for a year when I was 15, and their general population mindset is just kind of less open to the entrepreneurial path, and they're very set on like school, university, good job, like. So I had some best friends from Holland who, like, I think still think that I'm going to doom and crash and burn a little bit because I don't have a degree. So I had some external pressures, so I didn't pay too much attention to that. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't think you understand me or what I want to do with my life. And that's fine. And I don't expect you to, but I'm just not going to take that worry that you're worrying about me on board. But I definitely had a lot of doubt. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if it's just growing up, but 18, 19, I'd say turning 20 was epic. But I'd say 17, 18, 19, I always felt like I had to be further ahead than I was, and that I was always falling short, and that I had ideas of the kind of work I wanted to be doing in the world, and I just wasn't there yet. And I didn't yet respect time and how things can just take time. And that's fine, because the time's going to pass anyway. It's absolutely fine that it takes a little bit of time. But I didn't understand that, and I got ridiculously frustrated with myself and upset with myself way more than I needed to. And then that would often spiral into a feeling of doubt and lack of self-worth from the perspective of, well, if I haven't done this now, you know, like I was almost resting my self-worth on that. And I've grown up a lot since then, and have a much healthier, I think, relationship with myself now. But yeah, there was definitely self-doubt and a lot of emotional moments.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that feeling of wishing that you were a bit further ahead than what you are. And I know I've definitely had moments where I've gone, oh my gosh, why isn't this happening right now? This should be happening. And someone sort of took me aside and said to me, look where you were a month ago. Look how much you've achieved in a month. And I think we all need to get better at reminding ourselves of, I guess, looking back on what you've actually achieved. And it's really good to hear someone like you, who you've done TED Talks and you're working with CEOs and you've got this successful business happening, that even you can be having those feelings.
Oh, totally. And you know, in at the end of Nelson Mandela's book Long Walk to Freedom, he describes, you know, only once you reach the top of that peak of that mountain can you then have the vantage point to see all the other mountains ahead of you still to climb. And I think that that's really true. I have not reached a peak of any mountains. I'm still very much making my way up, but I'm just saying, like, I think that sometimes people look at me and go, oh, you know, she did her first TEDx talk at 17 and wrote her first book at 13. Like, oh, it's like, yeah, yes, I did. And that was lovely. And I'm also still now a 22-year-old who needs to make my way through the world and support myself. And I get to run a business that I also really love doing, which is great. But there's no magic pill, there's no magic bullet. Those things were helpful, and I'm grateful to my younger self for doing them, because they are helpful today, but they don't make everything easy. I still work really, really hard, and I need to, and that's fine, and I do enjoy it. So it's just the way it is, you know. And oh my gosh, oh yes, I wanted to say as well that I think that the best thing for me that I've done is that I've always been really conscious of the personal journey. And I've always, I really try, and I'm still learning it, but I really try that anytime things happen in my life, rather than getting annoyed at that happening, I try and go, okay, how might this be a mirror trying to teach me something? Whether it's business, whether it's personal relationships, whatever's happening, it's always like, well, what can I learn from this? What can I realize that that's a trigger within me? And then how could I heal that trigger so that that thing in the future will no longer heal me? And almost look at the whole of life as a personal development course, and that being a deeper underlying meaning. And for me, that helps. That's helped a lot. And then later on, when other things have come up, it's just helped me sail through something so much more easily, because I've been able to not get caught up in it, and I've been able to stand back a little bit. And I still fail often as well. So,
so not getting as attached to it, and sort of, I guess that's looking at the silver lining when you're saying, what am I learning from this, and why is this affecting me so much as well? Which everyone has those moments in their life, and I think that's a really great way of looking at it. I've just got one last question for you, and this is a big one. What is your top tip for attracting the right clients as someone in a service-based business?
That's the reason why I'm thinking it through, is there's different platforms to attract clients through. Mm-hmm. So I get a lot of clients through referrals, or through people seeing my byline on LinkedIn and saying, oh, hey, I want to write a book. Can you help me? So my mind kind of immediately goes to those, because that's where I have the most experience in. Mm-hmm. But as far as attracting clients, I think in particularly service-based, I think, and this isn't marketing speak at all, but going back to what I just originally said, I think that we underestimate the power of being our best selves every day. And I always wake up every morning, and I'm not always my best self every day, but I always start every day really wanting to be my best self. And as not only like, obviously that's life's so much more enjoyable when I am, but it's so much more enjoyable for those around me. And when you are a really nice person who people enjoy working with and who people meet and enjoy that conversation with you, and they feel heard by you and feel validated by you, and they, you know, naturally from that flows. And like, obviously if you're good at what you do, that's naturally, that those two things coupled together, they're going to see that you're good at that. They're going to have a really great feeling of working with you. And there's the quote which says, people don't remember what that you do, but they remember how you made them feel. And I think that that's really true. And if you want to attract clients and have word kind of get out, I think that's, from kind of a really inner work perspective, very, very useful. And then to flip that, two other things, just to do a nice plug here, is writing a book adds a ridiculous amount of credibility. Not all, some of my clients are writing memoirs and autobiographies, but some of them really are writing books for their business to share more of their story and more of their why. Because sometimes when you have your why on a, you know, my purpose is, or our vision is on a website, people don't really realize how much you actually do live it. Like, you actually mean those words, you know. So sometimes a book and your story can share that in a much more profound way. And the other is speaking. You know, speaking is a way that you're out there, you're in the crowd, you get known as, oh, the person for that. And they're really good. And I saw them speak and they made me laugh. It was really enjoyable. And I chatted with them for 2 minutes afterwards, and they were really present with me and answered some questions in a really intelligent way. And, you know, and then, you know, you get referrals. So there's both the like practicality side and the inner work side that I recommend.
No, that's fantastic. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for meeting with me. There's just been so many amazing things that have come out of this chat that I think people are going to love and get a lot out of. And I think for someone that's 22, your outlook on everything is just amazing.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's fantastic. So thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
And so lovely chatting with you. Thank you for your insightful questions.